Then gin and hat is up, everyone. We are breaking down the Chargers at Vikings single-game showdown for tonight, and we are going to tell you exactly why we are making each choice, so you can build smart, correlated lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel. We are starting with captain strategy, and the first name in our pool is Justin Herbert. He draws the Vikings, who have a tough defense overall, based on an opponent rank of 6, but Herbert is still projecting for 19 points with more than 3 starts, so we trust the projection. He has scored 33, 19, and 16 fantasy points in his last 3, and he is tracking for about 52% ownership. That combination of reliable volume plus ceiling keeps him firmly in play. There has been a lot of chatter in the news, including Essentially Sports highlighting that Jim Harbaugh's major concern with Herbert reappeared before Week 6, and that both Matthew Stafford and Herbert started strong but are coming off negative results in Week 5. We read that as the field potentially overreacting to one down game. We are betting on his track record and the efficiency with his top weapons. Our second captain is Lad McConkey. He also faces the Vikings, who have a tough defense overall, but McConkey's recent form is elite with 16, 26, and 15 fantasy points in his last 3 and a 13-point projection. He sits around 35% ownership. The news supports the surge, too. The Chargers wideout drew 9 targets in the opener per multiple game reports, and off-season coverage had Jim Harbaugh praising this receiver room's depth, with McConkey's rapport with Herbert already taking shape. We like that usage holds even in a tougher matchup, and Captain McConkey lets us afford more studs than Captain Herbert. On the Minnesota side, Jordan Addison is in our captain mix. He gets the Chargers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 12. Addison's profile screams stability and upside with 25, 15, and 18 fantasy points in his last 3, a 12-point projection, and about 29% ownership. Recent coverage notes that Addison has been consistently reliable through his first 2 seasons, and Pro Football Focus ranked the Vikings pass-catching group number 6 heading into 2025, which reflects a strong ecosystem for targets. We like Addison as a captain when building for a Vikings pass-first script. Our fourth captain is Jordan Mason. Same opponent rank of 12, which is a middle-of-the-pack defense overall for the Chargers. Mason projects for 12 points, has delivered 12, 14, and 10 in his last 3, and sits around 32% ownership. Recent reporting notes he is at 323 yards with a 4.7 average and 3 touchdowns this season, and Sportsline's model even spotlighted him in prop discussions earlier this month. That tells us the workload and efficiency are real. He is our favorite contrarian captain in game scripts where Minnesota controls pace and plays from ahead. Now for the core flex plays. TJ Hawkinson makes the cut because we want exposure to that top 6 pass-catching unit cited by Pro Football Focus. He draws a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, projects for 9 points, has produced 10, 10, and 8 across his last 3, and will be around 26% owned. The role is stable, the red zone involvement is steady, and he correlates well with Addison builds or with a kicker if drives stall. Kamani Vidal is a volatile but valuable bringback when you captain Herbert or McConkey, or a leverage play in non-Herbert builds. The matchup is tough with opponent rank 6, but he projects for 11 points, with recent outcomes of 8, 26, and 3, and around 43% ownership. That spike week shows he can break a slate, and he gains value in scripts where the Chargers lean on balance in the red zone, instead of forcing it through tight windows. We want both kickers in our pool, because this game sets up for stalled drives on both sides. Cameron Dicker projects for 9 points, carries about 23% ownership, and has scored 7, 17, and 6 in his last 3. News reminders about Dicker's long-range ability, including converting the longest fair catch-free kick on record, reinforce his deep leg and coaching trust. On the Vikings side, Will Reichard projects for 8 points at roughly 22% ownership, with recent scores of 18, 3, and 8. The league's K-ball changes and that controversial 51-yard miss were in the news during the bye week, but the real takeaway is Minnesota's willingness to attempt from distance, which is what we want in showdown kickers. The Vikings' defense is a game theory piece at about 16% ownership and a 6-point projection. We only use them in larger field builds that fade or underweight Herbert, and we keep exposure modest because Herbert's baseline is strong, even against a tough defense overall. The value is the leverage against Herbert's chalk. We also like the Chargers' 4,400 flex as a salary saver. The opponent rank is 29, which means Minnesota has one of the worst defenses overall, and a dash rank of 94 with about 8 projected points at 18% ownership is excellent per dollar. We are using this piece to unlock double spend-ups while staying live for 8 to 10 points. The high dash rank and soft opposing defense are the reasons we are prioritizing this value. For punt tight ends, Josh Oliver at 2,400 is firmly in play. He faces a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, projects for 3 points, is just under 3% owned, and posted 2, then 12, then 0 in his last 3 games. With Minnesota leaning into multiple tight end looks at times, and news around roster moves like elevating Cam Akers reminding us that the Vikings adjust personnel weekly, Oliver fits red zone packages and gives us touchdown leverage on the cheap. On the Chargers, Will Dissly at 2,400 is a parallel dart at roughly 1% ownership with a 3-point projection. He is live on play action near the goal line, and we deploy him in Herbert captain stacks to get unique. We have one more quarterback note. J.J. McCarthy is questionable, with reports this week indicating he returned to practice ahead of Week 7 after an ankle injury in Week 2. He is around 1% owned. We only use him if in and starting, and only in larger field tournaments because the floor is fragile off the injury. If active, he is a direct leverage path off the Vikings' skill position chalk. Here is how we are building lineups. In a Chargers passing script, we captain Justin Herbert, pair him with Ladd McConkey and one of Cameron Dicker or the 4,400 Chargers value, and run it back with Jordan Addison or TJ Hawkinson. In a Vikings passing script, we captain Jordan Addison, stack with Hawkinson and Will Reichard, and bring it back with either Herbert or McConkey. For a ground control script, we captain Jordan Mason, add Will Reichard and Vikings, defense for correlation, and bring it back with one of Ladd McConkey or Kamani Vidal for a balanced return. We are making these choices because Herbert's volume and ceiling remain intact. Despite a tough defense overall, McConkey's usage surge is backed by news and recent production. Addison's consistency thrives against a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and Mason's efficiency and touchdown equity are supported by both stats and recent reporting. The Chargers' value at 4,400 stands out due to a very high dash rank and the opponent being one of the worst defenses overall, and the kickers gain value in a game that projects for field goal opportunities on both sides. Good luck tonight, and let us know which captain you are rolling with.